Woman and Law by Emily Alardi, Emma Laughlin, Emma Gerard, and Angela Capone.
During the late 1600s and 1700s in the New World, women were thought of as lesser people in most colonies. Single women were individual people, but once married, this status changed. They were thought of as the husband's property and had many restrictions put on them. The exceptions of this idea were the Native Americans and the Dutch.
Native American tribes understood that both men and women had equal roles in marriage. Either spouse had the choice to divorce. When a man and woman married, they went to live with the wife's family. Land was passed down on the woman's side.
Dutch law made the husband and wife equal partners in marriage. Wives were allowed to run their own businesses and own property under their own name. If a wife was widowed, she gained the rights to the estate and to administer the rest of it to her children. These views of women were very different than the rest of the world. By the time the British took over New Netherlands and renamed it New York, the rights of women declined.
British colonies enforced English common law. A woman was considered femme covert when she was married, as her identity was covered by her husband, a practice known as coverture. Women lost their legal independence. She was unable to own property, make contracts, or represent themselves in court. Husbands controlled any money they made and were responsible for their debts.
Sir William Blackstone explained that a man and woman are in one existence. A woman is under the influence and protection. Nothing could be granted to the wife, because that would show her separate existence. A woman was considered civilly dead. A woman must be loyal to her husband and endure an abusive relationship. For the man was able to physically correct his wife, children, or servants. In most cases, women could not leave the marriage.
In Puritan colonies, divorce was an option from almost the beginning of the settlement. Marriage was considered a civil contract, not a sacrament. Successful petitions came from women who were deserted and could no longer support themselves.
Another way a woman could gain her femme sole status or freedom would be at the death of her husband. When he died, she received a dower that was written in his will. In most cases, this was 1/3 of the personal estate and could be more or less if stated in the will.
There was a large population of indentured servants. They were unable to marry until their work was done. From the lack of women and high mortality rates, most widows remarried. Even though the husband knew his wife would most likely remarry, he usually left her more than her rightful thirds of his belongings. He trusted her to take care of his land and pass it down to the couple's children.
By the end of the 17th century, ruling of the woman's right were very stable and followed common law strictly. When men left to go to work during the Industrial Revolution, they left their shops and farms behind. Women were no longer property of their husbands, but coverture stayed intact. After the time period, women gained more and more rights until today, where men and women were considered equals.
The end.